The Indianapolis shooting at a FedEx facility, leaving 8 people dead, followed a series of high-profile tragedies, including at a cabinet warehouse in Bryan, Texas earlier this month, a business complex in California April 1st that left 4 people dead, at a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado, and a string of killings at spas in the Atlanta area last month.
It's a national embarrassment.
Authorities in Indianapolis are focused on Brandon Scott Hull. Police say the 19-year-old, who used to work at the FedEx warehouse and took his own life during the attack, used 2 assault rifles purchased legally last summer. Months earlier, police had confiscated a shotgun from Hull after his mother had raised concerns about his mental state.
John chapter 8 and verse 44 says, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it."
The Bible lets us know that it was the devil who was a murderer from the beginning. He was the one who caused the fall of angels from heaven. He was the one who caused our first parents to sin. He inspired Cain to kill Abel, and he was behind the death of our Savior, Jesus Christ. It is no mystery that today, as we see senseless murders in the land, the devil is the one behind it. Rachel, did you hear about the recent mass shootings that happened at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis?
I did, yes.
Okay, and what were your thoughts on that after hearing that this 19-year-old former employee killed 8 people and injured some others?
It's just heartbreaking, honestly. I feel like nowadays, it's kind of sad how everything is just kind of normalized now. Like, you hear about these mass shootings and you're like, oh, another one, here we go. And it's just really sad that it can happen so frequently, and it does happen so frequently, like especially within the past 2 years. It's just been increased rates, and it's just awful.
At the end of the day, it seems as if there is always one troubled individual that somehow interacts in this very negative way with groups of other individuals. Sometimes it seems senseless, sometimes it seems more directed.
Now, CNN reported that, from this killing, as of April 18th, this has been the 45th mass shooting in the last month alone. So, a staggering large number.
CNN and the Gun Violence Archive consider an incident with more than 4 people shot, excluding the shooter, a mass shooting, and at least 50 have occurred in the U.S. since March 16th, when 8 people were killed at 3 spas in the metro Atlanta area.
Of course, it's very saddening of what happened. Our prayers go out to those families. And now, Congress and even individual citizens are calling for more stringent and stricter gun laws in order to stem this tide of mass shootings. Now, my question for you, Abby, is do you think more gun reform laws are going to bring the needed change to stop mass shootings and even the senseless murders that are occurring?
I do. I definitely think there needs to be more reform. I think at this point it's very hard, and it seems like a radical idea to abolish them and in general, get rid of them in general, but they definitely need to be stricter. No one should own a semi-automatic or anything like that. And especially if there are previous incidents, there should definitely be more background checks, and especially, like you mentioned, mental health checks that go along with that, and there needs to be more funding into those things.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily a reform thing, but it's a conversation I have with my roommates a lot, and it's obviously a heated one, but I think it's way too easy to get a gun in America right now.
Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to stop them. I think that we need more gun reform just to, honestly be a safer place. But I feel like if somebody is going to try to shoot up a place, they're determined to do that, and they're going to find a way to do it. And it's honestly really scary and really sad, but I feel like we need more gun reform, like I said, but it's just, I don't think it's going to stop it completely.
As far as gun laws go, I feel like that's kind of the easy answer is the gun laws. Of course, anytime a mass shooting happens, a gun's involved. If we were to remove the guns, who knows if another type of violence would be utilized. I personally think, which is a much more difficult solution, is more of a ground-up solution, starting with just basic education at just younger years, elevating up, providing more access to mental health, providing more pay for teachers at just a basic level outside of just, say, a university level. I feel like if people have less reason to be desperate, and have more resources to call on, then I feel as if a lot of this violence could be mitigated in some form or fashion.
Now, I want to ask you, I want to give you like a scenario, like a hypothetical scenario. You know, we're on a campus right now. What would you do if there was an active shooter on the campus right now? What would you do and how would you respond?
I would definitely like contact friends, family, anyone I know that's here, see where they're at, see what's going on, collect any information I can, and then get them to, or have them meet me, I guess, at a place probably off campus, somewhere that we can be safe together.
Sure, I love my coworkers. I really enjoy them, but it's probably going to be just looking out for myself, to be honest.
I feel like I would bolt for the hills, like run, hide. We learn, like, if it was like in my exact premise, we learn, like, you know, like fight back if you can, like even if you can just throw something that can distract them for like that instance. Make it known, tell other people, like scram. But it's really hard to know unless you've been in it yeah.
Honestly, in high school, we had like a lockdown because there was like a threat of a shooter on my school's campus, and it was honestly like one of the scariest things I've ever had to go through. Luckily there wasn't anything and everyone was okay, but like it's kind of scary to think about stuff like that because you really don't know what you would do in that situation. I would honestly just like probably call my mom and just call my dad and tell them what's up, and then I don't know, it's just really scary. I don't know what I would do really.
Many who get caught up with the debate of banning this weapon or banning that weapon fail to realize the root of the issue, which is sin. Because as long as sin exists and it remains in our hearts, the issue of murders and killing will still continue to be prevalent in the land. And Jesus shows us some life-saving principles. They are found in His Word. And if we follow them, we can have life now and life hereafter. Murders that happen using guns are not the only type of murders that happen. You know, people use all kinds of different weapons. So it could really happen at any time. You know, who knows what someone else is thinking in their mind. And so with that, I just want to share with you a few more current events of people who have died in various ways. And just to really paint the picture of this senseless killing that is happening is very prevalent today in our society.
This is an article here from the New York Times, and it says an Indianapolis man killed 4 after a fight over a stimulus check. Could you imagine that? So according to the report, the man wanted some of his girlfriend's money from the stimulus check, and he ended up shooting her and also 4 others, right? Very interesting here.
This next article says, father and son shootout captured on family security camera. So this was right in their front yard, and what happened was the son had a gun in his pocket. The father saw it, and he wanted him off his property. So he went and got his gun, and I guess the son turned around and started firing shots. He started firing back, and that's what happened there. And this is a very sad one. This says, the mom says she drowned her 3 kids softly while she hugged and kissed them. And her reason, she says, for doing this was because she wanted to protect them from their abusive father. So, I mean, you just look at this and it really does touch a person's heart because death is horrible.
Why do you think personally there's so much senseless killing, senseless murders, and even evil in this world?
I think it just comes back to what I said earlier. Like these are certain effects of like late stage capitalism, where certain resources are going elsewhere. I feel like wealth should be more spread out.
Wow, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of these things, like the mother who claimed it was to protect them from their father's abuse. I know a lot of domestic abuse calls and cases go like they won't do anything until there's actual like serious harm inflicted and things like that. And so this is where you've heard things and theories about like replacing police with like social workers and people who know how to handle abuse cases and things such as that, instead of people who, be honest, like have zero training to carry firearms and like protect people.
I think there's so much evil today because we just live in a really highly I'm gonna say acclimated world. Everything's just kind of a stirring pot right now, I feel like, and again, there's not really ever a resolution to that. I think you can't really resolve evil. I think you have to let it resolve on its own, and that takes time and change, and yeah, it's terrible that it's something that we have to live with. But
it's such a hard question to answer because I feel like there are so many different reasons for like all of the killings that are going on in the world. But you literally like cannot doubt, like within the past 5 years, I'd say, that the country has gotten like worse and worse, and it's just been on a steady, rapid decline of like our social status, I guess you could say. And there's just so much that's going on in the world that makes people so angry and hurt and like betrayed, I guess. And I just feel like that is like part of the reason. And I feel like we're not gonna like reach peace unless we like come together as a nation, which is gonna take forever, because it's just like nobody can be peaceful, nobody can like love one another, which is literally all we need to do. It's not that hard, but everyone makes it so difficult, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really sad and really scary.
I think loving one another is part of the solution, and I'm going to come to that in a few moments here. But before that, I want to share with you two primary reasons which I believe is at the root of killing and murder.
One, I would say, is that the love of money, right? The love of money is causing people to not only be selfish, but also greedy as well, only thinking about themselves. And when you're only thinking about yourselves, you're not thinking about anyone else.
And the second reason, I believe, is because there is a hatred that exists in our hearts towards other people. And I want to share these two principles with you from the Bible, because the Bible actually tells us these exact things. Do you know what is the root of all evil? This is a common phrase many people say, and it comes from the Bible. Do you know?
Money.
Close. It is the love of money. So let's read it. 1 Timothy 6 and verse 10.
And it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Of all evil. It doesn't say money in it of itself is evil innately, but the love of it. Because when you love something, you're not thinking about anyone else. You're just me, I'm greedy, is the root of all evil.
1 John 3 verse 15 says, whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him.
Even if we haven't even committed the act, if it's already in our thoughts to hurt somebody or to, even kill somebody, we're already a murderer before the act is even carried out. And you can see that also in Matthew chapter.
This last one just kind of reiterates that.
Yeah, read that for us.
Whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. Yeah. And I think that kind of resonates most, where I don't want to say being selfish with this money and having this hate in our heart is senseless, because to some people it is a driven motivation, and it may be ignorant or whatever, but I think that ignorance is kind of a bliss, and it will cause danger in your judgment and cause you to kind of have these dramatic and unnecessary and terrible outcomes that we're seeing today. So yeah, I think those points definitely prove with what you guys are trying to argue.
So these scriptures right here just simply show us that the real cause of murder, it starts not so much with the external factors, but the internal, meaning the condition of our mind. What thoughts are we thinking? We all are born with the power of choice. Do you agree?
Oh, yes, I agree. And that's sort of comes back to my thoughts on more adequate mental health resources.
Question for you, pop quiz. Do you know who is the first person in history ever to commit murder? He's actually found in the Bible.
I do not know. Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so who were the first two humans ever?
Adam and Eve.
Okay, so who were their sons?
It'd be Cain, correct?
Yes, you are correct. It was Cain, right? He killed his brother Abel.
Why? Well, the Bible lets us know that he had jealousy, he had envy in his heart toward his own brother.
He hated Abel because Abel, his sacrifice was accepted by God, but Cain's sacrifice was not, and so he hated his brother. So the point I want to share with you is that it didn't matter what object Cain used to kill Abel. We don't know what it was. Was it a rock, a tree branch? Who knows? But the point is, because he had the hatred in his heart, he carried out the act. And so today, people are in these debates, but really the root cause of it is we have to eradicate the hatred, the love of money from our hearts and accept Jesus Christ and to know him.
So if we don't know who God is, how can we reciprocate that love to others? How can we show kindness, courtesy to others if we don't know him who love originates from?
Do you know what it means to know God?
I do not know. I'm very agnostic.
I guess growing up in a religious family, I know this perspective, but I don't necessarily encapsulate God or like the one true God in just like the Christian bubble. I feel like there's several other spiritual avenues, many different religions, and I think that I believe in the human condition. I believe that there's like an inherent perspective of like what people think are right and wrong,
I actually was raised in a super Christian household. Church was my life. That was all my friends. My parents were very much into it. And I feel like in the past few years, I've sort of deviated from it because the institutionalized basis of it. Like, you see people who are like, I'm a Christian and I'm better than you because you're not. I feel like that's a stigma that's passed along, but I know deep in my heart that that's not what God is. God loves the least of these. He loves everybody. He doesn't care who you are. And I think that, WWJD was something that was always taught to me, and he would choose love.
I feel like within the past 5 months of me being in college and stuff, I've come to know more, because I went to public school my entire life. I never really grew up in a super religious family or anything. But personally, I'm not super religious, but I do find a comfort in believing in Jesus and God and stuff. I don't know much about it. I'm trying to learn more about it, but I just find the main thing for me about religion is it's just comforting to have something that you believe in that can help you guide your life, I guess. And I feel like that's kind of what it means for me.
1 John chapter 2 and verse 4 and 5. Verse 4 says, "He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not him in him."
So it's kind of saying if you claim to know him, but you're not actually following these commandments that he set forward, you don't actually know him, and you're not who you're saying you are. So
that's exactly what it's saying. That's exactly what the Bible is saying here, right? If we claim and profess, to be followers of Christ, followers of God, yet we're not doing his will, keeping his commandments, it says you really don't know God.
Verse 5. But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him.
So if you look in society today and see the senseless killings, what is void in society?
Love. Love of God.
The love of God, Abby, that's correct. The love of God, right? So the encouragement, I want to leave both of us today is that, even though you've strayed, you haven't been in church for a long time, God is still patient with you. God is still long-suffering with you. God is still patient.
Bible verse. It's in Philippians. I took it kind of out of context. I think it's the one where it's don't let the sun set without an argument, but patience brings peace, with the morning comes peace. But yeah, I got this tattooed even though I strayed, because it holds a lot of meaning with me. Patience brings peace.
My choice is to seek to learn about Christ more daily and to keep his commandments and even share this truth with others. Will you seek to, want to learn more about Christ and keep his commandments so that you can have the love of God in your heart?
Yeah, I feel like it'll probably take me a little while, just because it's such a difficult concept. It's hard to just grasp all at once, and you can't force that on people either. So it's just kind of you move at your own pace, but I could definitely see myself, yeah.
So Abby, I just want to continue to encourage you, to not give up, to not be discouraged, even when you find yourselves in difficult situations, a crisis. Just remember that God is still with you. He has not left you, nor has he forsaken you, right? But you just have to believe that he's with you to give you the strength to go through whatever you're going through. All right, you believe those words?
I do. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. All right, I want to leave with you a gift right here that has been a blessing for us, and prayerfully it's a blessing for you. There's a book in there, a very powerful book called Finding the Path to Peace, and it really just talks about the love of God, and it gives you practical steps of how to know God, how to have a relationship with God, and even how to share that relationship, share that love with others as well. The first chapter in there is actually called God's Love for Man, right? To show how God is long-suffering, God is love toward us. And prayerfully you're blessed by it, all right? So take care, and thank you so much.
Thank you. This was really awesome. Great conversation.
Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, verses 12 and 13, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved."
Now, this lets us know that violence and senseless killings will continue until the close of time. So what do we need more of in order for us to stem this tide of evil, this violence, the senseless killing? It is more of the love of Jesus Christ. In 1 John chapter 4 and verse 8, it lets us know that God is love. So we need more of the love of Jesus Christ in our hearts. And the issue is we have to get to the root cause of all this murder, killing, and strife. It is sin in the heart of man. And until we deal with the root cause of sin, these things will continue. So the great question is, will we allow Jesus Christ into our hearts to work a work of revival, reformation, and to give us more of His love, that we may be able to impart this love to others, that the hatred in their hearts will be eradicated. That is the great question. Well, my prayer is today, I want to accept by faith God's love. Viewer, friends, will you accept Jesus' free gift of receiving His love in your heart today, that you may put aside hatred, variance, even the disease of sin? Well, by God's grace, receive it by faith today. And so we thank you for watching this video. We pray that you'll continue the conversation in the comment section. Share with us how God gave you the victory over variance, over strife, over any sin, that you may be an encouragement to others who will also view the video. So comment, share, like it, and we will see you next time. God bless.